Canada is capping the number of international student permits that will be issued over the next 2 years, approving 35% fewer students than last year. It also announced changes to the post-graduation work permit program. Universities Canada is an organization that represents post-secondary institutions and associations in Canada. And while they are concerned about the added stress that an international student cap is going to add to the education system, they do welcome the changes made to the post-graduation work permit programs. So we're going to dig into that more in just a little bit. We were talking with Benny Tal about the economic impact of this cap on Canada and in terms of the component when you're thinking about shelter. So rental demand, we know that rents have hit a record high in this country, and we heard from the Bank of Canada today talking about this cap and saying that any increase in inflation or any increase in immigration rather puts a bit of an upward pressure on prices, and that they could most clearly see that in the housing sector and particularly in rents. So lots to talk about on this subject when it comes to immigration, but also this international student cap. And for more, let's bring in Philip Landon. He's interim president and CEO at Universities Canada. Philip, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
So this cap on international students, it's been talked about before, a few months ago, and previously you were against this cap. Can you tell us a little bit about why you didn't want to see a cap put in place?
Well, I think we believe that a cap is a pretty blunt instrument to try and get the sort of policy outcomes that the department is trying to get. We're afraid that it sends a very poor message to prospective international students and to current international students who are studying in Canada, that in some ways they are to blame for the housing crisis that they're a victim of and are suffering like all Canadians, and that it sort of calls into question the importance of international students to our universities and to our country. So we think that there could be more surgical instruments that could actually get the impacts that the feds have been looking for.
So what do you think those could look like? If they could either do it again or maybe add something on at this point, do you think there's more that could be done?
Well, one of the measures was to remove eligibility for the postgraduate working permit. So international students have eligibility to work after they graduate. But they've removed the eligibility for those who are studying at private colleges through a licensing arrangement with public colleges. Mm-hmm. And this is really where the source of the challenge was. And this is where we saw kind of explosive growth in student numbers over the last 2 years, was in these arrangements. And by removing that postgraduate working permit, that's going to really limit the growth there and actually probably tamp down all of the motivation for many of the students going into that. And we think that's the right thing to do. We think that is a very strong measure. What we're concerned about is that on top of that, they've added a 35% cap on international students, divided amongst the provinces. We're not quite sure how that allocation is going to happen. We're not quite sure how each province is going to choose to administer its allocation. But the potential for a significant financial blow to universities and colleges across the country is definitely there, and we're concerned about that.
I want to come back to that in a sec. The work permit impact, that sounds as though, the maybe main motivation for some students to go through some of those programs is just to come to Canada to work. Is that a fair takeaway from what you were saying?
Yeah, I think it is, and I want to be careful because the majority of international students, or many international students, come to get their education in Canada, contribute greatly to the campus, contribute greatly to the community that they're in, and play an important role in the country. And at the university level, we have about 1/3 of the international students are going to Canada's universities. So that means 2/3 are going to colleges or these private colleges as well. And Canada's universities are very careful to make sure that the students are well supported. They get housing supports, they get mental health supports, et cetera, et cetera. It's these short-term private colleges that have been offered sort of one-year certificates, which then is included with a postgraduate working permit, that I think has become a bit of a sort of backdoor for immigration and has caused a lot of the issues that we're seeing. And so we believe that that measure is going to go significantly towards reducing the issues there. But what we're afraid of is that the sort of unintended consequences, the wider swath that is going to be affected by the cap, is going to affect our universities and the students in them.
Yeah, so how would you like to see the cap sort of deployed? Or, I know that it's going to be proportionate to the population in each province, but then when it gets to the province, say if you're looking at Ontario, how does it end up getting split among the universities, the colleges, the private colleges, like you were laying out there?
Yeah, and I think that's still a very live question, Jacqueline, as to how each province is going to address that. We would like to see the irresponsible actors who have been growing sort of exponentially over the last couple of years not receive any sort of allocation in space. Canada is in need of talent. We are in need of our labor market needs throughout continue to exist, and they exist for sort of immediate needs, but they also exist for the future of this country, and we need students getting skilled up in those areas. And so what I'm concerned about is that the message of these caps and the application of these caps could put a real chill and dampen dampen the students' desire to come to Canada. Mm-hmm. We're in a very competitive world, Jacqueline. We're competing with the Australians, with the Americans, with the Brits for talented university students to come to our campuses. If I'm a student right now and I'm reading that Canada's putting caps on and we're not sure how they're going to be applied, I think I'm just going to apply to an Australian university where there is no issue with that right now. So that's a big concern for us.
And what sort of impact could that end up having? I mean, you talked about the talent side of things and, wanting to attract those types of people to this country who want to learn and want to contribute and what have you. But what about the tuition fees that some of these universities rely on? I mean, it might not be most of the students being international students at university levels, but when you're thinking about the tuition that comes from international students, that's quite a bit higher than domestic ones.
It is, and again, sort of just a couple of numbers around that. Universities, on average, have something like a 10 to 25% number of their students are international. And yes, international students do pay a significantly higher tuition fee. I would say that's it's at a competitive global rates. I mean, we're actually cheaper than the Australians and the Brits in that regard. But yes, this is going to have an impact. And part of the reason for this is that our provincial governments have been, in many cases, stagnated their funding that's coming into the operating grants into the universities, and so that gap has been made up over the years by international students. So we're very concerned that taking away that lever in order to offer the quality education to all their students is going to be problematic.